Welcome to Mr. Chalk's Revision Tips. In this video, we will look at
stem cells, the sources of stem cells, and some of the uses of stem cells. So stem cells are cells that have not undergone differentiation. So the cells that have not become a specialized cell yet. So things that we need to consider: stem cell potency. So this just refers to the ability that a stem cell has to differentiate into a number of different types of cells. Sources of stem cells. So this is places like embryonic stem cells or places where we find adult stem cells. And some of the uses of stem cells, this is how they can be used in laboratories or experimental uses where they can be used to regenerate organs and help with other clinical problems that a person might have. So stem cells are cells that have not undergone differentiation. Stem cells can come from a few different places. So an embryo develops from a fertilized egg. All of the eggs in the embryo start off as identical undifferentiated cells. These cells are called embryonic stem cells and become specialized to form any type of cell. They do this by switching genes on and off. So for example, if one embryonic stem cell formed a muscle cell, it would switch on the genes to turn it into a muscle cell and switch off the genes that would cause it to turn into a different type of cell. The embryonic stem cells receive signals from other cells so that they turn the correct genes on and off. Most cells in a human embryo start to become specialized cells when the embryo has around 8 cells. This is very early on in the development of the embryo. So a whole new organism with skin, eyes, heart, liver, etc. will develop from the embryonic stem cells. So this allows the organism to have all of the functions it needs to survive. Adult stem cells are unspecialized but can become specialized much later than embryonic stem cells. They can differentiate into related cell types only. So for instance, adult stem cells in the bone marrow can differentiate into blood cells and cells of the immune system, but not other types of cells. So there are several different types of stem cells that can be used. So like we've just seen, we've got embryonic stem cells, adult stem cells, and induced stem cells, as well as cord blood stem cells from the amniotic fluid when babies are born. So embryonic stem cells are stem cells that are derived from undifferentiated inner mast cells of human embryos. Embryonic stem cells are pluripotent, which means that they're able to grow into all derivatives of different types of cells. Adult stem cells are undifferentiated cells found throughout the body that divide and replenish dying cells and regenerate dying tissues. Also known as somatic stem cells, these can be found in children as well as adults. Induced pluripotent stem cells are derived from skin or blood cells that have been reprogrammed back into embryonic-like stem cells that enables the development of an unlimited source of stem cells from this cell without having to go and harvest stem cells from an embryo. Human cord blood became widely used as a source of stem cells with different properties to other types of cells in their therapeutic application, which has grown steadily over the years, and now people can choose to have these cord stem cells stored for later use. So if we're looking at giving one source of stem cells, you might talk about something like it coming from embryos. So stem cells can be used in a number of different ways. So we can grow new cells in the laboratory to replace damaged organs or tissues. Correct parts of organs that don't work properly can be replaced using stem cells. Research into genetic defects and research into how diseases occur within certain types of cells. So for instance, why a cell may become cancerous. So researchers are using stem cells in two important ways. First, to improve health. So this is things like improving cardiac health by growing new heart cells. They can also use them to help discover new things and in clinical trials. So while stem cell therapy has not yet been able to cure type 1 diabetes, there are documented cases where patients have gone years without needing insulin injections after being injected with certain types of stem cells. So scientists are also using stem cells to better understand diseases like Parkinson's disease and to be able to go and treat it. So although research shows that neutral stem cells can form neurons, transplanting these into the brain of an Alzheimer's patient to make new neurons has proved very, very difficult, and the research for this is still ongoing. So a stem cell therapy that could improve the heart function, walking capacity and survival of mice with muscular dystrophy has been developed, but this is still only experimental. So the diagram shows how an immature egg could be used either to produce cells to treat some human diseases or to produce a baby. So scientists may be allowed to use this technique to produce cells to treat some human diseases, but not to produce babies. So use the information in the diagram to suggest an explanation for this. So if we just have a think about it. Right, some of the things that you might have wanted to talk about are that cells can be used to treat diseases, do not go on to produce a baby. It produces identical cells for research. The cells would not be rejected. The eggs would only contain genetic information from one parent because there would be no mixing of genetic material. The baby would be a clone, and you could go and make some reference to ethical, moral, or religious issues. So if you have a quick look at the table on the right and then have a go at the next two questions. So give 3 advantages of using stem cells from embryos instead of adult bone marrow. So 3 of the things that you could have put was that they can develop into most other type of cells. They each divide every 30 minutes, and there is a low chance of rejection by the patient's own immune system. Give 3 advantages of using stem cells from adult bone marrow instead of embryos. Could have something along the lines of it's a lot cheaper. You can collect many stem cells. The adults can give permission for their own bone marrow to be used, and it's relatively safe.
Thanks for watching.